I got 7:30, Scott.
Yep. Just going to say that.
All right.
All right. Want to welcome everybody to our first training session for 6 official mechanics for the 2024 season. Already there. We already turned the page for this season, and I want to introduce myself, Scott Campbell. I'm the chairperson for the 6 official mechanics committee. And a couple housekeeping things before we get started, and I turn everything over to Jim to get started, Jim Kapoor. Just why the presentations are being made, and we're showing the videos, the various videos that we have for this evening. Just turn your self video off, your personal video off, and if you have a question, put it in the chat, and we'll be monitoring the chat for the questions. And also shut your audio off so we don't have any background noise during the presentation that interrupts things. So just please be cognizant of that and take care of that before we get started. So as I said, Jim Kapoor is doing our presentation for this evening, and he is leading off with obviously tonight's with the deep wing officials, side field judge. But also you got to remember, some of these presentations, even though we label them that way, all 6 men are involved. Trust me, during these presentations, I want to emphasize that. So don't think that you can take a session off because it doesn't pertain to you, because somebody once said to me, an official is an official all over the field. So just be, participate is what we're asking for. So we have 8 sessions set up for this year. The next session will be on February 7th, and that'll be done by Mike Bartram, state rules interpreter, and that'll have to do with umpires and positioning movement. But again, that'll also affect the referee and the wings and so forth. February 27th, we have Steve Citro. We'll be conducting position breakouts. We're going to try something new this year, position breakouts for all the officials. And March 12th, we have one of my favorite ones from last year was unusual plays by Bob Masucci and Jerry Picazio. So looking forward to that one. April 16th, we'll return to Jerry and Bob are so good, we're going to put them on back-to-back this year. So they'll have timing issues, game and play clock issues that we'll deal with in April. Then as we move into May, we'll have line of scrimmage with Steve Citro. And then the last 2 in June 11th, we'll have improving consistency and judgment with regards to holding and penalty calling altogether. That'll be presented by Mark Bitar. And then to wind it up in July, we'll have a referee's announcements and other stuff tied into that, and that'll be done by Jim Kapoor. And somewhere along the line, we will sneak in a lot of the rule changes that are going to come into effect during the year, and any possible mechanics changes that we implement for this year. I don't know what they are as of yet, and like I said, they'll be coming out in the near future. So with that, we'll move forward, and to close out before I turn it over to Jim is registration for the clinic in Sayreville will open on May 20th. So look, we'll be talking about that leading up to the first 5 presentations that we have this year. We'll be talking about it. And so the clinic is in August, I believe, Jim, August 10th?
3rd.
The week before,
Scott.
I'm sorry, August 3rd. August 3rd is the clinic itself. So look for registration to open on May 20th. So with that, I'm going to shut my microphone off. I'm going to shut my video off. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Kapoor. And Steve, you also now have co-host capabilities. Am I correct? See you shaking your head. All right, there you go, gentlemen. It's all yours. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. And again, welcome everyone to the first session that Scott alluded to. I want to start by thanking a few folks. Carmine Picardo picked out these plays on deep wings, which we're going to take a look at. And Steve Citro and I went through these the other day, and Steve was kind enough to kind of give me his thoughts, and we went back and forth on this. So again, welcome. Scott said this is primarily for deep wings, side and field judges, but it certainly applies to some degree to all officials on the field. So again, a warm welcome to all. I hope in 1 hour when we end this, or a little bit less now, I hope you all got something out of this, and I hope everybody stays on it if there are schedule permits for the 1 hour time period. So Again, tonight, January 24th, made up a little PowerPoint before we look at some video tonight and just some general thoughts to kind of preface the videos that we have for you. As always, we welcome comments in the chat box. So please feel free, and we'll try to monitor that as well so that we don't jump too far ahead if someone has something, a question, a comment, whatever. And please, again, as always, our transcending approach is not to criticize, but to kind of teach, coach, bring up whatever. But we're not here to bash anyone or, in any way be overly critical of an official. We're all here to learn. That most certainly includes myself. So with that as a backdrop, all right, deep wings off season for our side and field judges. Okay, so the general purpose, you can read it there, just we want to start with positioning. Where a field judge, where a side judge starts, how deep, how wide. We'll talk about that with some video as well. Okay, and then their initial movement and stuff. But there's really three scenarios that present themselves, folks. The first is, let's say team A, the offensive team, is from their own 1 yard line all the way to the team B 25, and we're not talking about a punt. But so in that situation, we'd like to be 22 to 25 yards downfield as an F and an S and across from one another. And then when the ball gets moved to, the offensive team is snapping from the plus 25 or the team B 25 all the way to the 8. And then the third and final one, when the ball hits the 7, when team A is 7 yards away from a touchdown. So we'll cover all three of those scenarios relative to some video that we have tonight. So, okay, Steve. So some thoughts, some key reminders, and again, please forgive me for reading. Just want to probably makes it easier when if this was in person, I wouldn't be doing this, but on Zoom, I still have this bad habit, so kindly forgive me. But as I just said, we want the S and F to be lined across on the same yard line, whether it's 22 yards, 25. It doesn't look good up top. It's a bad optic if the side and field judge are staggered 5, 6, 8 yards apart from one another. For example, if one guy say on the 40-yard line, the other guy should be on the 40. Not one guy on the 40, one guy on the 34, or one guy on the 46, whatever it is. That's what that's alluding to there. Again, 22 to 25 yards from the snap, and start off the sideline. We're going to look at some video tonight where we have our side and field judge probably too tight to the sideline, and as well, a lot of people not affiliated with the game. Now, I'm not talking about coaches, players, but like cameramen, newspaper, media folks. They're literally in our way, and we're going to show you that on video tonight. And it's got to get cleaned up, folks. It's for our safety, and obviously the safety of the players as well. Okay. The third bullet, we talk about this extensively, and it probably is worth a little discussion before to go to video. I'm sure everyone here watches the NFL to some degree, and some college conferences have also adopted the NFL mentality, which is in essence called move with a purpose. I think they call it MWP. You'll see a lot of side judges and field judges in the NFL that get beat consistently. That's their mechanic. They do have a back judge, number one, and number two, obviously they have replay. And Walt Anderson, who is the vice president of NFL officiating, is adamant that we all see better when we're still, and I think everyone would concur with that. Nonetheless, with 6 officials on the field in a high school game, it is important, in the opinion of our committee that Scott is the chairperson of, as he stated earlier, we have to keep our cushion. There's nobody behind us. And if there's a fumble near the goal line, or if a player inadvertently drops the ball thinking he scored already, or that kind of thing, we're in all kinds of trouble if we're not there. So we'll look at some video relative to that, but I want to stress that we still must keep the cushion as deep officials as best we can. Okay, there's going to be occasion as a deep official you got to turn your hips and run rather than just backpedal. We all can move quicker when we turn and run versus backpedaling. Okay, we'll show again some video when a pass is thrown. We want to try to square up to see the sideline. You can still stay wide at foot, 2 feet out of bounds, but we still got to be able to see the sideline, obviously, in tandem with our H or L as applicable. If obviously you're a field judge, you're working with the line judge, and if you're a side judge, you're working with the head linesman. Okay, When we're at the goal line and runners
Melissa, do
standing
you have
up,
a
we
second?
want to turn our belt buckle. We'll see a lot of video to that. To keep
Do you have a
officiating,
second?
do not stare down the goal line once the player scores, as he runs beyond the goal line and, into the end zone, whatever. We've got to turn him. I like the phrase belt buckle to the player. That makes sure our eyes are going to the player that scored. Does he spike the ball? Does he throw it into the stands or something that might warrant a penalty after he scores? Okay, we'll show you a play tonight where we have a deep wing starting at about the 4-yard line. We don't ever want to do that, right? You start either at the 5-yard line or the goal line, nothing in between. And we'll show you a visual of that so we can put the PowerPoint to the video. Please be prepared to assist the H&L on out-of-bounds plays when practical. There's numerous plays in any game that happens. And lastly, in our mechanics manual, I think Bob Masucci's on tonight, and Bob's the editor of that. And you've heard me say this many times, folks. It's the best in the country. I say that with all candor. But we have in there, when the ball gets to the defensive team, 45, we're in 45, 42, 38, whatever. If it's a punt, we want our S and F on the goal line itself. So, all right, Steve, next scenario. So, what we're going to have here is, again, a series of plays. I think there's 23. We'll break each one down a little bit. This should give us enough time to flesh each out, learn something, in some cases, repetition, some cases, maybe some new thoughts. But so with that said, this is the first of our 23 plays of deep wing video. So go ahead. And again, thanks to Carmine Picardo for sharing these on Quick Cut with myself and Steve. So the first play here, and this is just, we have an official here hustling. He does come to a stop, gives a nice incomplete pass signal. In the ideal world, of course, on this play, we would like to have a little bit better cushion, so that if the guy would have caught it and runs into the end zone, we'd like to be on the goal line before the runner scores. That's the ideal. That's the utopia. But this gentleman clearly moved downfield, this official. And again, I like the coming to a stop and giving the signal, in this case, incomplete pass. Ball's obviously incomplete. Again, if we read the play a little bit quicker, we might be able to keep our cushion a little bit better. Okay. Remember, we want to start 22 to 25 yards. So, Steve, if we can go back to the snap on this play, just so everybody gets their bearings relative to, okay. So the team is on the minus 42-yard line, right? Their own 42, 41 and a half, but we'll just go with a 42 for the sake of the play. So what I taught myself to do, and people taught me, I should say, to get to 20, well, where do I line? I would go to in mind 42, 52, 62, 67. And I know the 67-yard line is the other 33. So if I was officiating this game as a side or field judge, I would position myself on the defensive team's 33-yard line, 25 yards away from here. And again, I taught myself, or I've taught other guys that, because a guy that I'm good friends with named Bill Lamagna, he said the 50-yard line sometimes gets folks confused. So he said, just go, like, count it. Don't even, well, we're 8 yards on this side, we have to go 17 more. He said, forget about that. Just go 42, 52, 62, 67. That's 25 yards. And we know the 67 yards from the goal line is the other 33. It doesn't sound, or it might sound a little bit complicated. It's not. It's very easy to do that. If you get into the habit of doing it, it really puts, at least it used to put me at ease all the time as to where I should initially start. So on this play here, the kid, go ahead and run it, Steve. And the quarterback's going to roll, as you saw, and throw a pretty deep pass down the sideline. So what I'm asking you to do is visualize the deep wing starting at the 33 on this play. The other 33 as the quarterback rolls to his right and eventually throws a long pass downfield. So if we started at the 33, it might have, again, it's tough, but we got to try to keep the cushion. And again, if you watch this play, one of the good things here, I'll be repetitive. When the play ends, it's good to come to a stop and give a signal, whether it's caught, run out of bounds, whether it's caught for a first down and tackled, or in this case, an incomplete pass. So everybody, please get one last visual, one last look at that. That looks a lot better, that coming to a stop and giving the incomplete signal, than if you're still in the move. It's a much, much better optic. Go ahead, Steve, the next play, if you can. Now here we're inside the 25, but not to the 8. So let's look at our deep wing up top. Will you stop it here, Steve? All right. We have a deep wing on the goal line. I mentioned in the PowerPoint, the guy in the red shirt there, he's about maybe the 3 or 4 yard line. Not sure who he is, not sure what he's doing there, but I know this, he doesn't belong there. And this is the thing we're going to see repeatedly on a lot of these slides tonight, folks. Those people, they're not there to help anyone. I don't know why they're there, but if the deep wing has to come up at all, there's potential for, some kind of contact there, whatever. Again, I don't know if he's a newspaper guy, NJ.com or whatever it might be, or a cameraman. I don't know. Again, it really doesn't matter, but we have to get statewide. We really need to make a concerted effort for folks like this, politely, diplomatically. Sir, excuse me. Okay. This is not where you belong. If you look at the field there, there's probably a dotted line. That guy should be behind the dotted line. I think you can see a little bit remnants of a dotted line that like all around the field. That gentleman, whoever he is, does not belong where he's at. Okay, Steve, that play, go ahead. Got press coverage up top. Okay, and they run it. This kid's going to get in. All right, now, Steve, run that back at the end, please. We saw this a lot when Steve and I went through these plays. If you're the side judge or field judge there, and of course, I don't know what it is. I don't know what half it is. Doesn't matter. But when that kid scores her, just stay where you're at and signal touchdown. We don't need to come to the pylon to signal touchdown. And like we said on the PowerPoint, folks, we want to turn our belt buckle to the player. If the kid who scored spikes the ball right now, there's nobody that's going to see it. Maybe the short winger. This guy's doing a good job of getting down and still watching the action. But as a deep wing here, the kid clearly scores. He goes into the end zone easily. Stay still. Turn your belt buckle to the player as you give the touchdown signal. Steve, maybe one more look at that kindly. See, again, if that kid spikes the ball after he scores it at, we have no idea about it. None. Okay, same play, Steve, the last time. If you want, we'll go to the next one. I'm looking in the chat. I don't see anything yet, which is fine. It looks like we have 221 folks on tonight. That's great. And again, a warm welcome to each of you. Okay, now we're inside the 25. All right, so we should be, as the gentleman up top is, at the goal line. I can't see the official at the bottom of the screen. Okay, okay, Markins. Yeah, so let's take a look at this play here. Motion across. Now stop here. We know that's a backward pass, so we can legally throw a forward pass. Of course, our short wings have to determine forward or backwards, but this is clearly a legal, perfectly okay play with a backward pass. Now this guy's going to throw a forward pass downfield. So go ahead, Steve. Again, real good wide position at the start, but let's just stay where we're at. We don't need to come to the pylon. Again, I love the hustle, the short wing here. All right, but if you're the deep wing here, just stay wide. Give the touchdown signal as you turn belt buckle to the player in white here. Clearly a touchdown. Okay, we want to face him almost as we signal the touchdown. Okay. Great play for teaching purposes. And one more look at it on this. Okay, that's right. We'll go to this one. See, this is a different play altogether. Obviously, either a drone or some type of center or end zone shot. Not sure which. Let's take a look at this play here that we have picked out for you all. Start with the sideline, the near sideline that Steve has the cursor at. All right. I like the white. All right. It's pretty clear. but look down where the official is at the 15-yard line. There's probably 10 to 12 people. Now, if you're a deep wing and you're on this call tonight, picture yourself backpedaling and turning and running with the people that close to the white apron, inside the 25. Just, if a kid's going down, you know what's going to happen? One of those people kind of leans out, moves out. You don't know where they're at. You're watching the action, and now you're going to run into somebody, or worse, they're going to hit you, or whatever the case would be. Again, I'm trying to almost count. It's I don't know if it's 10 people, 11. It doesn't matter. Not one of those people belong where they're at. And as an official in the NJFOA, we have to get those people out of that area. It's our safety, it's player safety. And again, if you're a deep official and you're looking at this slide here, this still slide, you should be thinking to yourself, if I've got to get on my horse and get to the goal line, although it's only 15 yards away, it's just not a good scenario. We have a question in the chat. Who can see? I'm trying to. Is it a sideline penalty? The answer is no. That's a great question. That's a great question from Akash, if I'm saying that correctly, and I apologize if that pronunciation is incorrect. That's a great question because if a cameraman is there or a school newspaper guy or NJ.com, we cannot penalize the team for that. That's on us to get those people out of there. That's a good question. I appreciate that very much. Okay, Steve, the play itself.
Jim,
Yeah.
Randy Mills asked a question. Is
Hi,
someone
Randy.
is it up to us to go get the ADs involved so they don't
Okay,
allow this to happen?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's back up because I just saw the second question in the chat room. Before the game starts, okay, if this may or may not present itself before the game, but certainly if you're on the field, first, second play of scrimmage, third play, whatever, and you see this, if you have to, you got to stop the game right there and then. Just kind of make again, a diplomatic, tactful point. Excuse me, folks, you need to back up. Again, look at the dotted line. It might be in blue in this field, okay? And if they're all behind there, that's better than where they're at. There's about maybe 6 or 7 people right on the line or in front of the line, whatever it would be. So we want to prevent this before it gets to that point, if at all possible. Do we want to stop the game? If we need to. It's better to stop the game than have someone affect the play that occurs, with the snap being imminent. But hopefully we've prevented this ahead of time. We've before we got to the checkout counter, we looked around and saw who was where before we got in the aisle, so to speak. So you want to get those people back in the first place so that when the game is actually going on, when plays are actually occurring, we don't have to be worried about where is this guy? Am I going to run into somebody, or is he going to run into me unforeseen? So good question. Again, we'd like to be preventative relative to that. Isaiah, can we stop the play to move them if necessary? Yes, but again, we'd like to prevent it ahead of time. Okay, Steve, let's get to the play.
Something it feels great to walk on in bare feet. What size bed do you sleep in?
Yeah. How many? Look at all these people now. It's great coverage by the deep wing. Run it back, please, Steve, just from this end zone drone shot. Okay. All right. I'd like everybody to watch the deep wing as the play develops, as the receiver runs the deep route downfield. Just watch he's giving the count now. He's got 11 on defense. We can't see the other guy, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Now, as he starts back, look at this, okay? Now, you see that guy with the camera there or whatever? I mean, that's way too close, fellas. We're going to get hurt. We're going to get hurt, and it's very difficult to explain to someone, well, I didn't know the guy was in the way. Look at before the snap where all these people are. So again, this is something we should prevent ahead of time. You see, I can see a little bit. I hope you all can, like kind of it's like a light blue line for back of a better way of coloring it here, the blue. And this official, to Bob Masucci's point, he is a little bit deep. I think he's like 30 yards at the snap because we're at the plus 45 and he's at the plus 15. If we were at the 20, it'd be a little bit better. But Again, it is what it is. He does move well to get back to the goal line, and obviously this results in a 45-yard touchdown for the offensive team. But let me just say this generally speaking here. Short wings, deep wings. Do not ever be hesitant to own your sideline positionally. By that, I simply mean players and coaches don't belong in the white from the 25 to the 25. That's pretty good up front here. And same thing, all right, all the rest of the way down the field. And that is up to us. Nobody's going to have our back on that. No one. Okay. But we've got to do it. We have to do it for our own safety. The players cannot overstate it, cannot say it enough times. And if you officiate a football game as a short or deep wing in which the sidelines are well managed, it makes your job 100% easier. So take the necessary steps ahead of time. Okay. Is there a comment here in the chat? I'm at, crew chief. Question about asking the AD and the crew chief email. AD's got a lot going on. I don't know how that be received, frankly. I was an AD at a school I taught at in Pennsylvania for a long time. I wouldn't personally advocate that. That's just me. I think it's a in-game when you get there scenario where you got to, hey, this is ours. The field is ours. This is our office. This is where we go to work. Could they have moved down anticipating the deep ball? Donald, even if you do, 25 yards is good enough unless it's like the last play of the game. We have a Hail Mary pass or a scenario like that. It's not a good optic when you're 30 yards deep. So that's a snap. Okay, go ahead, Steve. We're good. Great questions, great comments, folks.
And just one thing, Jim, before we move on, that I picked up watching this play is when the wing, who does a nice job of turning and running and hustling, he kind of puts his eyes down and looks for this pylon here.
Right.
I've been taught when I'm the side judge and, trying to find my way to the goal line is if I look across to the opposite pylon, I could find that in my peripheral while keeping my eyes up watching the action on the field.
So, and Steve, if that works for you and anyone else here, that's great. One of the things that I think all deep officials should do pre-snap is just say in your own mind what yard line you're on. I'm on the 15, I'm on the 20. That gives you a good sense, like an internal thing in your head of how far you're going to have to go to get to the goal line. So whatever works for you folks, do it. I think there's a chat here. Carmine. Okay. All right. Thank you, Carmine.
This is the same play from another angle.
Okay.
You're like me, one of the millions suffering from
Yeah,
pain.
this is the same play from a different angle, as Steve said, 44-yard touchdown pass.
Next play.
Okay, now we have our first punt of the night relative to deep wings. We see the balls at the 50, and we see both the S and the F. Well, I don't know if it's the F, but on the goal line, the other guy looks like he's going back. That's fine. The manual says 45 and in, but if you feel this kid's a good kicker, or maybe it's windy and they're kicking with the wind, there's nothing wrong with starting on this play on the goal line. But certainly, if the ball was snapped at the plus 45 or closer, we want to be there pre-snap. In this thing, I don't think our committee has a problem with this. I wouldn't go more than if the ball's on the offensive side of the 50, I wouldn't be on the goal line. But if you want to do it here, that's okay. But if, like, say their own 44 or something, that'd be too deep. That'd be too far back. Okay, Steve, go ahead with this punt. I think before we show this play again, can somebody? I'm having trouble reading the chat box questions. That's on me. But can someone monitor that
Sure,
for us?
Yeah, what do you need, Jim?
I
Well,
got it
there's two or
open.
three recent chats, Bruce, that I can't, for some reason, they're like running
I-
together on my computer.
Okay, well, I was the first one, but I said, Jim, the deep guy on the right side gets to the goal line also. Could they have moved down anticipating the deep ball, the two deep wings? That was from Donald Whitaker.
Yeah, that was a previous play. I want the one
Okay.
after that, Bruce, is for this punt, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, so from John Grand at the goal line because the receiver is at the 10, which is correct. The mechanic manual says 7
Yep.
to 10 yards behind the deepest receiver.
Yep.
From Carl Leone. In the last angle, there's another game behind this one. What would you do if you heard their whistle and half the players stop?
What was that question, Steve, from Carl Leone?
So he said it seems like there's another game being played on an adjacent field, and if a whistle from that field stops the action, what would you do? How would you handle that?
Say a prayer, say a Hail Mary. That's a scenario. I don't think there's a thing. I mean, if you think it affected the play where everybody stopped, you'd probably almost have to have a do-over. But I don't know where the other field is, or obviously sport on this particular field. But those once in a lifetime scenarios or once in a whatever, player safety would have to be paramount. I don't think there's a cookie cutter approach in any manual in history, including ours in New Jersey, as in depth as it is. Bob Asucci, not to get sidewind here, but is there anything that you have, Bob, put in there about if players stop because of a whistle on another field? Again, very difficult scenario for me to imagine. Let's not spend a lot of time on it. But Bob, do you have anything? Did someone unmute Bob if he's on?
Bob is not muted.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll chime in later. Okay. So again, I'm not sure there's an answer to that question other than pray that it doesn't happen.
The next two comments were about the returner's position. I think we covered that already. And then David Carmen said maybe in this situation we could treat it as an inadvertent whistle,
Well,
and that'd have to be a judgment call on the field.
again, let's not spend scarce limited time on a once a year, once a career type scenario. But inadvertent whistle or not, player safety to me would be the priority. Okay, go ahead again with the punt itself, Steve.
All right, I think we should, maybe not this angle's the best. So this angle again, if we watch this deep official here, he leaves the goal line a little too early. So let's stay put until the kick is over. He's anticipating he's walking up, and now it's to stop and get back to the goal line to roll on potential breaking of the plane.
Yeah. And if we run that again one more time, Steve, just for a minute, although this is not an umpire, I'd like everybody to watch the umpire on this punt. Okay, just watch the umpire who's, correctly about 8, 9, 10. I think our manual says 10 yards on a punt behind the snap, 10 yards deeper, but just watch the umpire, please. No. Okay. Oh, we got a clear takedown hold there. Stop it here. Stop it here. So umpires, if anybody umpire, or just in general fishing, you got something like that happen in front of you, don't run past trouble. I'll repeat that. Do not run past trouble. You got a player on the ground. Maybe you saw how he got there. Maybe you did not see it, but don't run past trouble. If that kid got taken down or whatever it might be, and you run right past it, now somebody's going to whack somebody, you miss it. Do not run past trouble as a football official. Hey, men, get up. Let's go. Leave them go, whatever. If you didn't see it, that's okay. But acknowledge that you see what is now there. The umpire has no purpose, no responsibility. The punt's going downfield. That's right now, those two kids at the 35, 36-yard line is where he has to have his eyes. And I'll repeat it one more time. As an official in football, do not run past trouble. Okay, Steve.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Oh, now you can hear me. I had to switch microphones. That's why you couldn't hear me before.
Okay.
To answer your first question, we have nothing in there about
Perfect.
that, about a whistle from an adjacent field. One thing I would like to say, though, about that punt play, I personally would have no problem with the F and the S on the goal line. The deepest
Yeah.
guy, the deepest receiver was at the 12,
Yep.
which tells me that they know that this kid can boot it.
Yeah, so if he's on the goal line, both of them, that's fine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. This is the
So,
same play again, different angle. Go ahead, Steve.
yep, but my comment from a short wing perspective is this gunner looks a little deep here. It's early in the game, so it's a good warn scenario, preventative officiate. And let's work to line him up with our back leg. Give him the foot so he knows where to line up.
Very good that our S and F are on the goal line on that play. Clearly the kicking team down the ball around the 3-yard line with first touching and then a recovery of the loose ball. Okay, next play. Go ahead, Steve. This is another high end zone shot. Okay, now before we start, look at the deep official on the nearest to hash mark where the ball is. Okay, look at I don't know if it's an assistant coach, a trainer, whomever, standing in the white on a punt at the 45-yard line. When we got downfield in pre-snap position, that gentleman, or now say, we own the white, especially on punts, especially from this hash mark. Okay? There's absolutely no reason for that person, whomever he is, to be where he is. So little thing, hey, I need that whole white. The white is mine. One of the things that I learned from Tommy Hill is on a punt, I would always say as I went back into position, okay, hey, I need all the white and stretch the play out. I need all of the white and stretch the play out. That means don't have everybody running on the field right when the guy gets tackled. You got an offensive team coming on now. In this case, green, they're on defense over there, stuff like that. So, hey, I need the white and stretch the play out. If you get used to saying that, people actually respond to it. So by the second, third, fourth time, now they know, hey, I've got to be a little bit farther back. Okay, Steve, go ahead with the play itself.
Hey, Jim, Scott Heiser has a comment. Are we overly concerned with the goal line? Who is in optimal position to rule on whether the deep receiver touches or is touched by the kick?
So I don't think any official is ever overly concerned with the goal line because that's the single most important line on the field. We want to be behind. Statistics have shown, video has shown at every level that you can see from behind almost every single time. There might be a time where the punt bounces and, did it go off the kid's shoulder, his knee, whatever. We've talked about that. But the best place to be is 7 to 10 yards behind. And again, we can never, ever overstate the importance of the goal line. Okay, Steve? Now, as this deep official comes up, you can see he's compromising his position because there's a coach in the way, in the white. And again, this will sound redundant. Can you stop it here, Steve? This will sound redundant, but this is our fault. It's nobody else's fault. And if we stress this each and every game from the beginning, and I know, well, game 5, well, last week we did, forget all that. Forget all that. The fact that the coach is at the 43-yard line or 42, talking about the wide side of the field here in the white, okay, there's absolutely no reason for that whatsoever. None. And this is our fault. Somebody's going to get hurt, or it compromises our coverage of the play. There's just no, folks, look, I'm not saying anybody on this call or in the NJFOA should be a prick. Please forgive the line. That's not what I'm getting at here. But this is our office, and that person is in our office without permission. As you come up to cover this play, okay, I'm always, look, I'm just going to say this from my perspective. If I'm covering that play, I'm coming up the sideline, and if I run into him, that's a 15-yard penalty on him. He does not belong there. And I just would like to stress, we've got to get better at this throughout the state to make sure that everyone understands. And it's an ongoing thing. Please, I totally get it, folks. I totally get it. But this is not a good look, and most importantly, it is not a safety thing. God forbid somebody gets hurt, that coach himself. He says, wait a minute here. Yeah, I shouldn't have been here, but nobody told me to get back, or nobody made me get back. I broke my leg. That's the official's fault. Please don't think that that scenario couldn't happen, because it can. We have to own the white of a football field. Okay, Steve.
If we go to the sideline view of the same play, there's a couple of good things I'd like to comment on. Watch the movement of the short wing to keep his vision on the out of bounds action. Comes in, turns, and then he's able to kill the clock properly because the play ended out of bounds, and finish officiating the play by keeping his eyes on the out of bounds action. And you see the deep wing coming in, you're making his presence felt to help clean up the end of the play.
Well done. Go ahead, Steve. In this play here, we're going to see a nice job of the deep wing maintaining his cushion. We'll see here a long pass down that sideline, and that's pretty well done there by that deep wing. Again, maintaining his cushion on this play. We talked about that on the PowerPoint, and this is what we want. This is kind of the ideal. This gentleman was able to backpedal and keep everything in front of him. Again, if you need to turn and run, feel free to do so. That does get you there quicker. And then you'd have to kind of spin around. I call it squaring off to the sideline. Some people might call it spinning, but let's watch this again. Get the ball's on a -26. So he's about 26 yards. Okay. But he gets a good read, and he turns and runs, and then he squares. All right. That's really well done, quite honestly. Okay. Very well done. Long pass. I guess he ruled it incomplete. Everybody's coming back, but hey, that's good. So good video of what we talked about in the PowerPoint. Another play.
It's same play, Jim.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, it goes to the near side away from the screen, but okay. Yep. Yeah. Good. All right, there's a different play now. So on this play here, we look indecisive on this play. Getting wider at the pylon would have helped. We're just we don't do anything for a while here. Then we stop the clock. Okay, so obviously we rule catch, inbounds, receiver runs the ball out of bounds at maybe the 1 yard line. All right, now let's break this down a little bit. Okay, we're starting at the plus 29 or 30 yard line. Okay, so we want that guy starting at the 5, which is where he's at. And if you look across the field, both of the deep wings are aligned at the 5. We just got to get to the goal line a little bit sooner and stay wide. If we stay parallel to where we're at, we have a little bit better cushion. You've heard me say this before on a play like this. Distance is our friend. Distance is our friend. And this is a very good visual of that. We be a little bit wider. We probably get a better view of things as far as, catch, inbounds, out of bounds, whatever the scenario is.
Jim, Howard, I'm trying to read what he said. Howard, he has to keep his eyes on the play through trash talking for trash talking after the play.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know this. When you're a deep wing and the ball's in the air like this, we all have a tendency to look up. You can't do that. Teach yourself. You want to say to yourself, stay downstairs. Stay downstairs. All right, stay with your eyes downstairs. I'm not sure who's trash talking on that. 30's
Just save
active,
pictures.
Bravo. That's going to happen. I mean, that's, it is
I'm
what
sorry,
it is.
honey, what?
Yeah. So. Okay, next play, Steve, as we try to get through these. Good score. I don't know that we just can't come up the sideline as a deep wing there. Obviously, the defense is upset with something or whatever, But go ahead, Steve. This play again, please. Plus 47. Guys positioned well around a 23. All right. The question is, do we have an interception? And the short wing is rolling incomplete. If you're the deep wing here, stop it here, Steve. All right. Everyone, please look at the umpire all the way through this play. Look at the umpire right now is at the third. Okay. Stop it there. Right there, Steve. Stop it. Okay. We do not ever want an umpire ruling a pass on the sideline incomplete or complete or anything else for that matter. Frankly, when Steve and I saw this, we were on the phone. It was kind of like, did we see what we just saw? Umpires, please stay out of that. Okay, you got nothing to do with that. You don't have anything to do with that. And this sweeping motion here, so that can be used by the short or deep wing. But again, as an umpire, you're just you're fishing in somebody's pond and there's no water. You don't want to do that. You're going to drown. So please, umpires, do not do that. This is a good teaching play. Again, we're not here to bust on anyone. Trying to teach, try to instruct, giving direction to umpires. This is a absolute positive no-no. I think the chat box is filling up. I'm seeing a number here. So can we take the?
We have a question about tandem officiating on this play, Jim, from Chris Morello.
Yeah. Okay.
As a short wing, do I look at my deep wing or just make my call?
Great question. If you're the short wing on this play, if the receiver is looking back towards you, in this case, the kid who's trying to intercept the ball, you're facing him, he's facing you. If you're positive it's incomplete, kill it. Incomplete, boom, boom, sell it. Good sell. If you're not sure, make eye contact, look to the deep wing. Deep wing on this play, you want to understand that the player's back is towards you. So the up front official, the short wing, has the best look at this. On the other hand, if the kid's running over his shoulder, then it changes the dynamics of that. So the player is going to be facing one of the sideline officials, either the short wing or the deep wing. Whomever that player is facing kind of has first dibs. If you see him out of bounds, wipe it off. Wipe it off. We don't have replay or anything like that. You just try to get still, see it, and make a ruling. Deep wing on this play, and we kind of got a little bit sidetracked with the umpire. The deep wing right now is about the 18-yard line behind a cluster of 2 or 3 players in green uniform. You want to stay on the sideline. Officiate the lines, and things go better. Officiate the lines, things go better. I think there's another chat here. Jerry, short wing has the feet down. We kind of got rid of that, Jerry, a little bit ago. It's the same guy has both the feet and the ball. So we used to kind of divide that. Now we're just saying the guy who's looking at it make the decision as to relative both the feet and the ball. Feet first, then the ball. I'm glad you pointed that out, Jerry. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment. Eddie Camp brought that down, I believe. Officiate on sideline plays like this from the feet to the ball. And, one way that works for me to remember it, what's the name of the game? Football. So I go feet first, then the ball.
Yep. So, but Jerry, thanks again. That's a good thing to mention and point out. What should off-wing officials be doing, thinking here with a possible no catch? Well, that's Zach Gilbert. That's that person's job. Again, if the player in this case in green is facing, I don't know if it's the H or the L, but what you should be thinking is I've got that call.
I think he's talking about the opposite officials on the other side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Zach, I apologize. On the other side, you're just, you're looking, you're going to glance over. The deep wing is probably, there's nothing in front of him. No problem for him looking across, but, he's not really doing anything, quite frankly. There's some times when you sweep the store, there's other times when you let the customers leave and you kind of clean it up. But you know, it's not that kind of a play right now. I don't see any players in white on offense anywhere in front of that deep wing on the other side at the 18-yard line. So, and for the last time, folks, not to be redundant, but please, umpires, just that is. Does everybody see how terrible an optic that is? That's just not good. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just one last comment I wanted to make. If it's a scenario where the short and deep wing need to have a conversation, kill the clock,
If
because you know either it's an incomplete pass or out of bounds, come to the spot and then have your conversation. This way, if you rule that that spot's where the ball is out of bounds or next to be snapped, you don't lose your spot.
So if folks were listening a little bit before, I said if you're positive the guy's out of bounds, you wipe it out. If you're not sure, get together, shut the play down. It's okay. You're going to stop the clock, as Steve said. It's either a catch, in this case, an interception, and the guy runs out of bounds, or it's simply incomplete. Stop the clock. That's buys you a little bit of time. So
Okay. I don't think we need to watch that next angle, next play.
next play. Okay. Again, a drone shot here. Ball's on the plus 27. The deep wings are on the goal line. I like that. Scramble. Now, stop it here. Okay. Deep wing, good job staying wide. Stay as wide as you can. But again, folks, please look at whomever it is at about the 6-yard line. That guy there, it looks like he has a camera on his back or something. Steve can show on the 6-yard line out of bounds, wherever this guy is. Yeah, that guy he's looking for trouble. He is trouble, and he has no business being there. Just like the guy to the left of the official, was at about maybe the 2-yard line there. I don't understand why those people are there, and none of us should accept that. None of us. Somebody is going to get hurt very badly, and it will fall back on us. You can rest assured it will fall back on us without any equivocation. Again, I like how wide that deep wing is there. That's good. Distance is our friend.
Yep. And I think it's going to be good to watch this play from the sideline view to show exactly why we want that distance.
Yep. Same play, right?
Yep.
Okay, Steve.
And that person was actually deep, and that individual was actually off the sideline and worked his way up during the play. If you watch it,
Yeah, that's okay. But Bruce, obviously that's going to happen. And that's how
Yeah.
something very, very bad is going to happen. And there's
Well, I
no.
agree. I'm just saying,
Well, the guy wanted to get a better look at it. He doesn't belong there. It's that simple. It's that black and white. He does not belong there, period.
Howard
No.
Hennick puts again the official's not keeping his eyes on the player after the play.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Here's why I wanted to watch it. We have a loose ball. Okay. You know, we have a number of scenarios. Was it out of
Yep.
bounds prior to the ball coming loose? Does the ball hit the pylon? Does it go into the end zone then out of bounds? As you're watching plays like this, it's not often we have to rule this closely on something. Run the scenarios through your mind. Make sure, you know, okay, I saw what I saw. I know the ball hit the pylon. I know that's now a touchback the other way because the ball was loose and out of bounds in the end zone, or it was in possession and he touched the pylon. Just so you don't have to think on the field, you've already run through these scenarios.
So Scott Campbell opened this tonight by saying Jerry Picazio and Bob Masucci do a thing on unusual plays. If this isn't unusual, I'm not sure we have too many unusual plays. Was the guy out of bounds? Did he fumble the ball, and did the ball go out of bounds before it got to the pylon? Did the ball literally graze the pylon after he fumbled it? I mean, all those things have to go through your mind. And unfortunately, during the game, we don't have too much time to piece it together. If we're wide and still, and as Steve just said, play the play in your mind. The late great Carl Paganelli used that phrase all the time. He would tell us all the time, play the play in your mind ahead of time. Play the play in your mind. Then when it happens, it's not like a bolt out of the blue and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? Highly unusual. And look, it involves the goal line, right? Big play in the game. It was 24-14. I think it's in the fourth quarter, about 10 minutes to go. So a huge play in the game. Great player. Okay, Steve.
All right, this plays the possible intentional grounding play. So just to keep everybody else engaged a little bit, not just deep wings as we mentioned.
Right. And as a deep wing here, if you have nobody in the area, or if you do, get on your 020 when the thing shuts down and let the R know, hey, there's absolutely nobody here, or there is. The kid's clearly outside the tackle box. All right. And this is an upfront call, though. This is the H and the L and the U assisting the R. If you look at where the snap is, okay, it starts about 2 yards off the hash. All right, go ahead. So we know the tackle box is right at the hash, just a little bit outside of it, maybe. And as the kid kind of scrambles around here, all right, he's outside there. Okay, so now we know by rule it's okay if the ball reaches the line of scrimmage, but it's not okay otherwise. The referee shuts this down as an incomplete pass. As an umpire here, I like the fact the umpire didn't do anything. He doesn't know if it was a pass or a fumble. It's clearly a pass. The question is it intentional grounding or is it legal? It's clearly a pass. Okay. Open arm, all that kind of stuff. Okay. It's okay on these to get together, you know. And, you know, if you're the H there at the bottom, I don't know if it's the H or the L, is number 4 in the vicinity, or is the player grounding the ball? That's why they're paying us, I think this year, $127, if I remember what Mark Bittard told us, to make those decisions.
So to Jerry's point, the short wing here, one, you got to know it's incomplete and give that signal. If you're ruling 4's in the area, just give them a point. If not, we have to know the ball did not cross the line of scrimmage. So based on the rule changes the last couple of years, this is now intentional grounding.
Good. Another very good play. This play here, play clip number 51. Players tackled inbounds, but the play results in a first down. All right. Short wing correctly kills the clock. Deep. Did you know the clock status here is the issue? Watch this play here. Quarterback RPO, he runs it. Now he gets tackled. He's clearly in bounds, but we have a first down. So our short wing is killing the clock. Deep wing. If you're not sure, you don't have to mimic the short wing. You can. Tommy Hill and others have discussed this at length. If you watch an NFL game, the deep wings don't stop the clock ever on a play like that. But in college, we do. So, you know, kind of whatever floats your boat. But if you're a deep wing, it's okay to stop it if for no other reason on this play, it's a first down. The guy clearly made a first down.
And I would like to challenge our deep wings to know the status, even if you have to ask the short wing here. This way you could relay it to the referee. So referees know we're going on the line, we're going to snap,
Right.
Especially if we have a foul on a play.
Okay. Now, again, I think this official stopping it for a first down and not out of bounds, but that's what your 020 is for. And our awareness, in or out, right? Okay, Steve, go ahead. If you give us 5 more minutes, folks, we're not going to get through all these plays, but we'll go 5 more minutes if that's okay. I've already been corrected about the pay raise, by the way. So if you only get 120, please don't shoot me. I'm wrong. Sorry about that, folks. Great cushion here by the deep wing up top. Again, it's clip 71. Very good cushion and a nice signal as the pass hits the ground. It's 3rd down and 4. Again, let's watch the cushion here the deep wing has. He's squared up. Okay, he's about 7 yards deep. That's ideal. Doesn't get much better than that. Nice. Keep your eyes to the players. Well done.
Nice
Okay,
controlled
next
signal.
clip, Steve. Let's try to, we can get through a couple more here. If you're watching this, the first thing that should come out of your mind is get the coach out of the white. Okay. Now we have an interception here, very, very close. Okay. And if we stop it here, I like the fact that we don't rule a touchback. It's not enough. The deep wing also has a beanbag down, which for the potential momentum rule. All right. Interception between the goal line and the 5-yard line. We know in high school that's the distance that a defensive player, could possibly advance without it being a safety. This is well done. And where this kid lands, Steve, we go back a little bit. There's a good point here about forward progress as well. All right, where this defensive player, number 3, who intercepts the pass, okay, a little bit farther back, Steve, just a little bit more as the kid jumps in the air. Okay, right here. When this kid jumps, stop it right here. If this is an offensive player, bear with me for a minute, folks. If this is an offensive player and he's in the air at the 3 and he lands at the 1 on offense, we know he gets the ball at the 1-yard line. The same exact concept is applicable on this play for the defense. The kid jumps in the air. He quote unquote has it in the air at the 3, but he lands at the 1. He gets it at the 1. Okay. That is the spot of his forward progress because he does not possess the ball until he comes to the ground. So again, excellent mechanics by the official with a beanbag, stops the clock, signals defensive ball, defensive possession on an interception. But just a point about forward progress there that very not typical type player. That's well done, whoever that deep wing is. I like that. Okay. Good hustle by the short wing. Let's only give one signal here. We've talked about this ad nauseum in these sessions. As the kid breaks it, teach yourself as an official one signal only. You either wind on this play, you stop it, and that's it. We don't want a wind and then a stop. And you just get on the 0-2-0 to the referee. He's in bounds. We're winding. Only one signal. Teach yourself that, folks. One signal only. One play, one signal. One play, one signal. Clearly, the runner was made a first down by far. The guy's tackled in bounds. So all we're doing here is killing the clock. And then we got to know on the 0-2-0, we're in bounds. All right. So we don't want to wind and kill. We just want to kill here. Good hustle by that HRL, whichever it is. All right, Steve. This is clip 53. Deep wing, as we read the runner breaking, you need to react a little quicker on this play here. Again, please, Steve. We don't want to rush through these things because they're all teaching plays. But all right, so right now you got to move quicker and you got to get there. That G, we've talked about that enough. That G doesn't belong there. Okay, nor does that guy shooting the camera there. Okay, right at the goal line. But certainly the G, he's kind of in your way too. That guy as the G is. But we should have been able to get to the goal line sooner here on this play and been at the goal line when the kid in white scores. Okay. Second to last play here. This is clip 64. Good initial position, nice and wide, starting at the pylon. You see it up top, right? The deep wing, the ball's on like the plus 23. Okay, so we're already there where we should. All right, now watch the action around the 5-6 yard line. Okay, this is where I should be, right? Here, as a kid. Good. No. We get a flag on this play. I'm still not sure who threw it. I think it's the deep wing. I think. All right, but let's see if we can run that back a little bit. Just watch the action here, right there at the 5 or 6 yard line. If that's a hold, fellows, that's just not enough. That's not enough, and we're going to talk about that at a future thing. All right, 29 isn't even on the play. Okay, the short wing throwing it here. Okay, I just see it now. I looked at this twice. I didn't see it. That's not enough for hold. That's just not enough. Okay, and then the last play for tonight, Steve, the long play, I think it's clip 45. Okay. Now, look, we're backed up at our own 6, right? So we're 94 yards away from the touchdown. But now, when this kid busted here, we got to be hauling ass as best as we can. This is a tough one. We're going to get beat or close to it. But now let's stop the clock there, right? We clearly see the guy go out of bounds. Good job of hustling. Good job of trying to keep the cushion. The kid, it's like about a 45-yard run. So this is understandable. Let's stop the clock, get mechanically in terms of what's important now. Stop the clock, then go up, okay? And the short wing should be coming down, but we want to kill the clock on a play like that.
Hey, Jim,
Yes,
just one observation there.
please,
That
Bob.
deep wing, like flew to the spot, and he's leaving these players
Supervised.
unsupervised behind him. He should freeze right there. The spot's not really that important.
Yeah.
Those players are.
Yeah, and we know as exactly Bob and Jerry and Howard, you got the short wing coming down. What I learned, what I kind of frankly told my on a play like this, if I'm the deep wing, I'm actually going to get on the 0-2-0 and say he's out at the 48 or out at the 50 or something like that. So as the short wing comes down, he's not guessing.
Yeah, in fact, we have that. We even have that in our mechanics manual.
I remember,
helping out
them,
audibly.
Yep. So, well, men, again, we started out, I think, with 232 tonight. We're at 227 right now. Again, I want to thank Carmine, Steve Citro, everyone who put something in the chat room, and really everybody for just coming on. It's January 24th, and everybody here is thinking a little bit of football. In my humble opinion, that's a nice thing. We'll try to make each of these meetings, beneficial, productive, and believe it or not, it'll be July time and all that good stuff. But Scott Campbell, I'll turn it back over to you, Scott, if you want to close it out tonight. But again, on behalf of Carmine, Steve, and myself, thanks to each for getting on. We hope to see you on the next one as well. And Scott, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thank you, Jim. Again, thank you for the presenters tonight, Jim and Steve, for your assistance, and Bruce for monitoring the chat room and everybody's participation tonight. Great session. Last but not least, I want to let everybody know, if you want to watch this again, this will be available on the NJFOA YouTube channel. This will always be available for you to watch again. If you have any questions or would like to share, we'll make sure that we share the link with everybody who registered, and we'll go from there. But again, thank you for everybody's participation tonight. Reminder that the next session is February 7th, and we'll send something out early next week as a reminder, because we have 2 sessions in February, looking to keep up the momentum and keep everybody's participation up. So want to wish everybody a good evening and a safe weekend, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks. All right. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.